YouTube Live. I'm so all right. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to take about 1 minute to share the broadcast. So if you are joining me for the first time, welcome. And please share this information because today I'm going to be talking about 4 ways to share content via social media. So 4 ways to share content via social media. This is important to me because I am a published author. I am a professional speaker as a certified life coach. So I spend a lot of time curating and creating work. So intellectual property, I have to be up to speed with that topic. I have to make sure that my intellectual content is copywritten and protected. So who is this live feed for? It's for anyone who has interest in writing, anyone, creatives, if you are sharing and creating content to share, whether it's video, blog, social media, pictures, posts, it's important for you to understand your rights as it relates to copyrights as well as artists. You may record your songs, your poetry, your plays, your skits. Things of that nature. I'm also speaking to my artists out there. If you are a writer, you may be ready to write your book. Well, if you want to write your book, it's important that your book is copywritten and protected. And this is all free. Now, when you record, when you write, when you originate, when you curate, automatically you fall under copyright protection. However, what we're going to talk about today is if someone infringes upon your copyrights and take your intellectual property, especially mass loads of your intellectual property without your permission, you have every legal right to pursue, to sue, and also to get monetarily recompensed if it happens. So, for lack of a better word, you can go to court and ensure that your rights are protected. So this is a very important topic, and I want to share it because I personally have experienced copyright infringement, have in the past, currently, to date, and I just want everyone to be in the know. So what better way to talk about such a huge topic than to kind of break it down into bite-sized pieces. So today we're just going to talk about 4 ways to share your content via social media. So everybody's big on social media, right? It's a huge platform, many outlets, media outlets. You have Facebook, you have Twitter, you have YouTube, you have Instagram, and there's a plethora of others that are out there. So why start there? Because when we share, we may think that, oh, we're just sharing content, sharing information, but it is important how you share as well. So let's start with the first way to share content via social media. The first way to share is to curate and your content yourself. That is the first way to share. Create your content yourself. First and foremost, if you have information to share, um, you want to increase your following, you want to have content rich resources for other individuals to learn, to garner from, and to grow, take some time and create it yourself. Sit down somewhere, take a few hours out of the day, and think about the best way that you want to communicate your said message. It's better coming from no one else but yourself. So if you have a hot topic, if you have a platform, if you have information that others need to learn from, sit down somewhere, conduct some research, and create it yourself. This is time consuming. And I know social media, it's a fast, hot platform. right? We all like to increase our following. We all like to appear to be the expert on a particular area. Many times, if we're not, it's not a good look, but we'll talk about branding at another time, especially for professionals. But if you have something to say, you want to share, you want to empower others, you want to enlighten, you want to keep others in the know, sit down and create it yourself. Now, for my creatives, my artists, my writers, authors, my playwrights, all of those individuals, what is it called when someone borrows your information without permission? It's called plagiarism. Let me read you the accurate definition of plagiarism: the practice of taking someone else's work or ideas and passing them off as your own. Illegal and against the law. This is when an individual has committed what's called copyright infringement. Now, when I went to UCF, I think it was about the year 2000, maybe, when there was a huge bus and there were dozens of college students who were reprimanded, and I believe some sent kicked out of the university because of plagiarism. And if we went to school together, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It was around the year 2000 at UCF. Go Knights. All right. But there were some individuals who I would say probably didn't know any better, and they plagiarized, whether it was in their assignments, their essays, their semester finals, but they plagiarized. And there were huge repercussions. For their actions. So a lot of them, like I said, were kicked out of the university, and that's not a pretty sight, especially when your family, send you to school to learn and to grow, and then you have this that comes up. Hold on, I'm getting a message here. All right, this is my first live stream, so I'm hoping that everybody on that end can see me. I would love to interact and engage with you all, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm just not there yet with getting my screen and my discussion popped out, because I don't want to mess anything up. I've been trying to go live now for a minute on my new platform, so I'm not going to mess anything up. But if you can relate to this, leave a comment, share, say something. I would love to hear from you, especially if this is happening to you. So that is important as well. So on my end, it's saying that everything is looking good. So I'm just going to keep on going. All right. I'm going to keep on going. I enjoy talking to y'all, and I don't want to mess this up. So 4 ways to share content via social media. A lot of people may be listening and think to yourself that this is harmless. No harm done. Come on, Faith. You're going to give us rules and regulations for just getting on uh, Twitter and retweeting and resharing. Yep, I'm going to help you out, because I'm going to start small, and eventually I want to continue and provide a series of information about just copyright infringement. I want to talk about trademarks and just things of that nature. And all of this stuff I've been doing for over 13 years as a business owner, as a publisher, as a consultant to nonprofits and business professionals, whether it's in the area of life coaching or publishing. I have all information that I'm going to share with you all. A couple of documentations here. If time permit, I would love to share what this information looks like, because again, I've experienced it and lived through it. So number one, if you want to share content via social media, look, go ahead on and create it yourself. Go ahead and create it yourself. That's all I'm saying. Number two, another way to share content via social media is basically when you are, if it's not your own, let's talk about this. If it's not your own, you have what's called a fair use law. How many of you guys know about the fair use law? Fair use, basically, if there's content out in the public server, and this content does not belong to you, but say you're an author and you want to include this information in your book. Fair use says that you have at least 10 words that you can use from said content. 10 words that you could use without requesting the permission of the individual. You have the right to use at least 10 words. Harmless use, not a problem. Okay, I have another device that's showing me where I am in the process. So I had to get smart and activate another device. So, anyhow, 10 words, people, 10 words. It's not a lot, but it's a start. It's an opportunity to utilize information on a public server. Now, when you utilize those 10 words, it's important for you to provide the source. So you need to quote the source. I know college students, grad students, writers, authors, researchers, doctoral students, candidates, you know all about that research process, APA, MLA, all of that professional writing format and making sure the bibliography page and the reference page is intact. I'm just talking about basic use of information. 10 words, say their name. All right. So 10 words, say their name. For example, if you have an individual that goes on and they want to empower, they want to encourage somebody, and they say, it always seems impossible until it's done. Then they quote themselves, Bonnie Ryder. Now you know better. Bonnie, you know better. We all know that the great late Nelson Mandela is the person who said that quote, or research shows a variation of that quote, but it originated from him. Now, the proper way to go about that, because again, we're on social media, we're sharing information. Everybody's doing it, Triumphant Tuesday, empowering folk, to live their best lives. Wonderful. You want to get in on the positivity. That's great. But you need to say their name. Say the name of that individual where you received that quote from. It's not your original intellectual property. You want to be sure to protect yourself and say the name. Now, a lot of you all are listening and you're just like, well, okay, this isn't me, Faith. I know this already, but there's a few that don't know. Because here is my connection to this very topic. I have been seeing this more and more happening with the content that I'm both curating and sharing. Now, you may think to yourself, well, Faith, nothing's wrong with that. Don't you want everybody to learn how to live the triumphant life? Yes, I do. I definitely want this message to be infused globally. It's a global message, it's a timely message. We all need to be empowered and tap into our ability to triumph over any hardship and any difficulties. But my thing is the principle behind when I take 15, 30 minutes, 20 minutes to an hour of my day to curate, to create, to give you bullet points, to number, to encourage and to write, and then go on to the social media platform and see someone just take my information and plop it on their page and don't even reference the source. And then they got the nerves to get a whole bunch of likes and retweets and reposts. That's the issue. I have an issue with you. I definitely do. So I thought about, I'm going to talk about how to address these individuals in the end of this video, but that's the most recent incident. And I think I've had about 3 to 4 or 5 incidences on social media where I've seen this happen. The first person, if you're watching this and you're wondering why you've been blocked, that's why. Months and months and months I've been just observing and just watching, and I'm talking about original in-depth content. 2 paragraphs. And you guys know I like to write. Y'all know I bring it with references, resources, individuals, points, frame of reference, and everything. Y'all know when I give information, it's credible, or I hope you know that it's credible. I hope you know that I take time to craft, I take time to perfect, I take time to cross reference to make sure I know what I'm talking about before I deliver it to you. Before I retweet, repost anything, I go to the original source of the information to make sure it's legit information, because it's too much fake news, fake media hype that's happening out there, and I don't want to be a part of that culture. I really don't. I want people to be informed. I want people to be empowered, but I don't want to be a part of that retweet, repost culture that as soon as they see it, they retweet it and put it out there because they want to give this impression and this look that they are, you know, the masters of this topic or craft. They're in the know. It's hot off the press with them. Y'all, sit down. Sit down somewhere. Whew, please sit down somewhere. Sit down somewhere. So, yes, it has been happening. And this particular young lady has been doing it quite frequently for months. And I've just been watching and observing and thinking to myself, well, probably she don't know, or I don't know. But hot off the press, as soon as I post something, paragraphs and words and information, she takes it and she reposts it as her original information and content. And so after months of observation, I definitely had to delete this individual and say la vie. Who knows if this individual is carrying on today, but it doesn't matter to me. I just had to address it because we're not friends or anything. We're not associates or colleagues, not somebody who I would address and talk to about this. I really don't know this person. They've been following me for a while. So I believe that they've been inspired by the information, which is good. We want to inspire people to act, to move, to think. And, if you've been following me for any set amount of years, that's what I do. I aim to do, to educate, to empower, to provoke you all to think, see it from a different perspective, and to consider things at a greater magnitude. But when it comes to content stealing and infringement and taking on information as if it's your own, it's illegal. It's not right. And if you're doing it, you need to stop. Plain and simple. If you're doing it, you need to stop. It's not a good thing. So if you want to share information, number one, there's 4 ways to share information via social media. Number one, if you want to share information, you want to provide resources and educate people, curate it yourself. Sit down, take some time, lock in some curation time throughout the week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and say that I'm going to be the creator of my content. And I'm going to provide and research and make sure I'm giving out legitimate information when it comes to said topic that I'm very passionate about, said topic where I want to help people. Take the time to do that yourself. It's possible. It's a lot of fun too, y'all. I spent a lot of time writing and publishing work and speaking and coaching, and I create my own curriculum. I really do, because I have degrees that has taught me how to do that. But at the same time, I know it's time consuming, and you have to be committed and know what you're talking about and know what you're doing. So if this is a new venture you may want to consider, you can do it. You can do it. You don't have to present it like anyone else. Present it with your own style, because that's how you're going to gather your audience. Everybody has their own audience that communicates in their own way. So I encourage you to do that. Curate it yourself. Number one. Number two, you want to share directly from the source, and you have 10 words, literary words that you can, it's called fair use law. You have 10 words that you could use from that individual without their permission, but again, attach their name to that source. You want to attach their name to that source. If you do not do that, that's called copyright infringement. Let me share with you a screen that I have so that you can see what this looks like. I didn't want to do a dual screen here because it would be very hard for you to see, but this is copyright infringement and penalties. I use Purdue University, legitimate university, when it comes to sharing, when it came to doing my research on copyrights, literary, intellectual freedom. So they are a leading university in this particular area. Look at this highlight. The legal penalties for copyright infringement. Number two, look at that. The law provides a range of $200,000 to $150,000 for work infringed. So just know that if you have your intellectual property copywritten, which you're going to talk about that, it has to be copywritten, you can go after any individual that is using your information without your permission. So that is important for me to share that with you. Go to Purdue University, and that from there you can get more information. But as you can see, there consequences for utilizing individuals' work that is legally copywritten without their permission. So you may think to yourself, I have intellectual work out there. Faith, you started by saying I can have my information automatically protected. It is only when I want to, pursue an individual that's using it that I need to get it copywritten. All true, all facts. So if you want to get it copywritten, your work, your play, your video, your dance, your song, your show, your blog, your newsletter, whatever it is, and you're sharing some content rich information, go to copyright.gov. Go to copyright.gov, and from there, just look at the different forms of information to have legally copywritten. I use the literary work form. There's another that talks about videos and songs. So it depends on what you want to have copywritten. But go to copyright.gov, and from there, you can start off with selecting what you want to have copywritten. All right. So number one, curate it yourself if you're sharing on social media. Number two, fair use law, 10 words or less. Make sure you quote the person that you are utilizing their information from. And then number three, share directly from the original source. So you may be, again, we're talking social media. This could be such a broad conversation, but I'm just bringing it down to social media. So you're on social media and you're sharing something. A safe way to share information is to just repost. Okay, retweet that original person's content. There's apps to help you do that. I'm not going to name apps because I'm not here to promote any particular apps, but there's apps. If you're on Instagram, if you're on Twitter, Twitter actually has that retweet option, right? Facebook has that share option. So the person's original content will automatically be connected to that reshare. So now if you're on Instagram, Instagram has a plethora of repost grams that you can use, or apps that will, I think I just said one, but anyhow, apps that you can use to help you repost something that someone has said. So just be safe and just use those options. You don't have to do anything special. Just use those options to share that message. It's important and it's great that you're sharing messages and you're encouraging others, but you definitely want to make sure you're doing it the right way. All right. So, where are we now? So, 4 ways to share: curate your own, share a maximum of 10 words. It's called the fair use law. And once you share those 10 words, you can actually quote the person and you'll have it there. The third way to share on social media is if you just repost the original work. You want to repost the original work to make sure that that original creator is already automatically connected to the work. Retweet, Facebook share, Instagram, there's apps for that, and just a lot of different ways to share. The fourth way, and this is for those who have mega work, this is for those who follow the written blogs and articles of individuals, of companies, of organization, and it's massive content you want to share. You want to share the full magazine article. You want to share the news article, and continue to refer to it. Whether it's in your, again, if you're writing, whether it's you're an author and you want to share this within your book, if you're blogging and it's a mass amount of content, rich content that will enhance your message, and you're like, man, I got to share this. I don't even have to sit down and curate this myself. It's already done for me. You can use that information, number 4, with the permission of the author. You can use that information to enhance your message, to definitely help individuals, but it has to be with the permission of the author. You can have a written request. How do you ask for permission? You have a written request that you can um, contact that individual, whether it's via their website, by email, or even by letter. Sometimes people are quick to respond if you DM them and say, hey, I just really like this message and I want to include it in my book. I want to include your 4 steps to overcoming or whatnot in my program. If you're working with individuals who are struggling with addiction and you're familiar with this 12-step program, you may want to include that in your program, but you got to reference it because it is a well-known program and it is protected and used nationwide. Somebody owned the copyrights on their program. You can't just adopt it and retitle it and call those your 12 steps. But you got to do your research. You got to do due diligence and you got to look into where that information came from and ask for permission to use it. So if number 4, you want to share information and you want to include this and you found it on social media, you found it anywhere else, you just want to share it out there on your social media page, and in your article, whatever you want to do right there, you want to ask for permission if it's loaded with information. If it's a lot of writing, it's a lot of information, you don't own the rights to it, and you want to do it the right way. So number 4, you want to request permission. It can be first researching that individual. You can conduct a written letter, an email, a phone call. And in some incidences, you can direct message that individual requesting permission to use their content. All right. So I know I shared a lot of information, but I'm going to tell you what to do if you've come across what I want to call as an intellectual content thief, somebody who is infringing upon your information. How do you handle that person? Number 1, you may think, well, I really don't care. It's not that important to me. I know I copywritten it, but it was formality. I really don't know. But at the end of the day, you are in control or in charge of your intellectual property, of your ideas, and you would never want to be in a situation where someone has just banked thousands, millions of dollars on your intellectual property. We know it has happened in the past for centuries. Our people has had their ideals snatched and stolen and repackaged and delivered to a different crowd on our expense. So you know what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about racial discrimination and those matters that have occurred in the past. Well, guess what? Today is a new day and it does not have to happen to you. A lot of things were out of the control of our ancestors when they created and came up with information that was snatched and stolen and everything else and sold and made millions off of. But it does not mean you have to stay in the dark about this and it happens to you. So, how do you protect yourself from someone stealing your intellectual property and ensuring that you have your rights? Number 1, by law, in order to pursue someone who is stealing your intellectual property, infringing upon your rights, you have to be legitimately copywritten. So if you go to the United States Copyright Office, that's where you must have your information, literary work, your play, your drama, your skit, your program. That's where it needs to be copywritten. There's different fees for everything you have there. The last booklet that I copywritten, and this is a book, was Quotes for Triumphant Living, and I believe I paid a $65 fee to have that copywritten. At that time, it was 2018. So online, I could do everything online, submit my work, and also pay with my card. My most recent copywritten work has been Get Unstuck and Stay That Way. And I want to share with you all what that package looks like. Again, this is an official letter from the Copyright Office. It's going to be very hard for you all to read because I have a lot of light going on here. But this is basically what your form will look like, and it will come with what's called a certificate of registration. Do you guys see that certificate of registration? A certificate of registration is from the Copyright Office. Once you have paid your fee, $65, $35 online, whatever your fee is, you will receive this nice large envelope in the mail. Every article, every book, every program, every online course, every resource that I have, that I teach, that I utilize is copywritten. It is copywritten. And if I find and see that my copyrights are being infringed upon, I have legal rights to go and address the matter. I am empowered to do that. That's my legal right as a curator, as a creator, as a visionary who's taking the proper steps to share a message with individual bodies. That's my right to have that information protected. So number one, if somebody is infringing upon your work, you need to make sure that it has already been copywritten. You can't go back. Somebody's infringing on your work, go back later and then copyright it and then claim it, because you're going to go through the process where you're going to ask for the date that it was created, when it was infringed upon, and then your copyright dates that you've submitted to. So it's important that you do all things in order, and that's the first step to anything that you create. My friends, copyright it. Protect yourself. Number two, if you know the infringer personally and you all are good friends, right? Or not even good friends, because friends wouldn't do that to each other, but you all are associates or colleagues or just connected in some way, shape, or form, then you have the power to address that information and that individual and request that they remove your content. So if you have that rapport, you can address that person directly and say, hey, this is my information that I have, whether it's by a letter, whether it's by an email, whether it's by a phone call, whether it's by a direct message. Quote exactly what they're quoting from you and say, listen, I'm glad that you enjoy my content, information. It has taken me, some of us, decades, years to come up with this information. It just doesn't come up. You got to experience it. You got to live it. And here you go, taking all my blood, sweat, and tears and reposting it as if it's your own. Not even giving me the credit, but it's as if you said these words, as if you're giving these steps on your own. That's called copyright infringement, and I'm going to ask you to remove it. If you're like me, I hit them with a 24-hour notice. You got 24 hours to remove it. Again, because I know my rights, and I got intellectual property lawyers on deck. This is real life for me. I've been doing this for over 13 years. So you can hit them with a nice request, or you could go ahead on and lean in on it and say you have 24 hours or less to go ahead and remove my content. Now, when I started this YouTube live video, I talked about an individual who I was monitoring for a couple of months, and she has been just reposting my content, wealth of information. Y'all, like I said, y'all know how I roll. I'm giving you paragraphs, I'm giving you references, I'm giving you sources, I'm giving you information that has been vetted, tried, and true. And this person, as soon as it hits the server, was reposting it as their own. No credit, no acknowledgement. And I just watched it. And then eventually I said, you know what? I don't have that rapport and relationship with the person. It's not, to me, time efficient right here and now with everything that's going on and what I'm doing to even try to have a hearing or a lawyer intervene. I just blocked that individual from my social media. And who's to say? They may be posting to this day. I don't know. If somebody's hungry to steal from you, they're just hungry to steal from you. So, I mean, and I don't feel bad about it, because again, this person has been giving ample time just through observation to quote. And if you notice anything that I quote, I always hashtag it Triumph or Triumphant Living at DRLFH. You see my signs here. Follow me at Twitter, YouTube Live. Make sure that you guys subscribe and hit the notification button. And then the last page here is my Facebook like page. Make sure that you stop by and give me a good like there. But I always brand it because that's my brand. That's my brand. I always incorporate my brand. So anybody who takes from my intellectual property and information, they had the opportunity to reference my brand, because that's a rule of thumb whenever you're sharing content that you curated, that you originated from your intellectual thoughts or whatnot. It needs to be branded. Automatically it is protected, but it needs to be branded. So yeah, if you know the person, the infringer, you could talk to that person about taking your information. And, I don't want to say see where it goes from there, but be firm, be stern, know your content and your information. Now, you may be thinking, well, Fate, it may be just a picture, it may be just and I'm fine with it. Well, that's fine if you're fine with it. But I'm talking about those who are looking to publish books and writing articles and a wealth of information, time consuming, and you see people just snatch past 10 words, snatch the whole 2 pages and post it as if it's theirs. That's a problem. You have the power to put a stop to it. So number one, make sure it's copyright. Number two, the infringer, if you know that person and have a way or a means to communicate with that person, do that in a nice cordial way, again knowing your rights. I just shared this slide that shows you that it is punishable by law. And then number three, if none of this works, this person just took your entire book and they reprinted it and put their name on it and changed the copyright date. My God, that is a problem. That is a huge problem. And you need to seek out an intellectual property lawyer. You need an attorney that could file the proper court procedures and work to get that all done. And it's going to be costly. It's going to be time consuming. You guys could negotiate that other person paying your lawyer's fees and the whole nine. I'm telling you, I'm not a lawyer, but I understand the process and how it works. I've been in this game for over 13 years as a business owner, as a consultant, as a publisher, and I know how it works. I have been there. I have stories for days, but it was the last few occurrences that I thought to myself, you know what, let me go ahead on and, get live and put this in the books as it's a no-no and it does not work. It's prohibited. I want to make sure everybody knows their rights when it comes to somebody using your information. It's happened in the past, doesn't mean it needs to happen in the present or in the future. So make sure that you equip yourself. Thank you for tuning in, everybody who has been watching this live video. My next live video, I want to be able to interact with you all. So I want to be able to activate the chat, but I didn't want to, at the risk of losing you all in this forum and going and switching screens and trying to get a little conversation in. So thank you all so much for joining. I'm excited to be on this YouTube platform. I have dozens of videos here, a lot of work that I have done, community work, speaking events, engagements, and things of that nature that's been captured and posted here. So take the time to peruse the videos and see if there's other information that you can garner from. I have a lot of book publishing information, a lot of life coaching tips, and speaking events that may be of help and resource to you. And remember, if you're sharing anything from my page, make sure you quote me, because I like to empower people and I like to get information out there. So let's do it the right way. Let's be empowered. Let's be educated. Let's be enlightened on the right way to do a thing. Let's not be passive and say, I don't care. That really doesn't bother me. No, care, educate yourself. Most of all, know your rights. So I'm coming to you as an author, as a publisher in this field for 13 years and sharing with you the importance of sharing your information and also protecting your information and how to address somebody who may be infringing upon your intellectual property. So if you're watching and you're that individual who has been just sharing it up, I'm coming for you. I just want to make sure that you know first before I do. So take care of yourself, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy your family. And I look forward to connecting with you soon. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube page. Let me make sure I got everything. My social media platform, follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and let me know what you think about this broadcast. If there's something that I missed, include that as well in the chat. I would love to hear from you. So next time we'll be more engaged and connected, and I'll be responding to you all as I go along. So anyhow, have a blessed Sunday. Love you guys to life. Mwah. I'll talk to you soon.